All right, folks. My name is Courtney Levitt, and I am the actual president this year for the Association of Lettermen here at the University of South Carolina. And I'd like to take this time to tell you a little bit about our association. Our association was founded in 1965 to offer fellowship to any alumni who actually earned a varsity letter in any of the sports that were sponsored by the University of South Carolina. Its purpose is to support the ideals that we learned on the playing field, on the courts, the track, the pool, and to also basically grow and bond with our athletic administration to help support Gamecock athletics. Our association continues to grow, and after 46 years, we have nearly 1,000 members. Our association comprises essentially of, you have elected officers who serve a one-year term, and you also have board of directors that serve on a 3-year term rotation. We have a variety of annual events. Most of you are very familiar with, but some of these events include our annual football cookout with the football team. We have our fall sports banquet where we welcome all incoming freshman athletes to university. We have our annual golf tournament. We have a basketball dinner. We also help sell programs out at each one of the spring games. We have a senior ring presentation, which most of the folks in this room I know. I've seen a couple of our rings being prominently displayed as we have our members in attendance tonight. And lastly, it culminates into this event. This is the creme de la creme. This is the Hall of Fame banquet. Our Hall of Fame committee receives letters of recommendations from teammates, coaches, friends, family, including fans. And it's our Hall of Fame committee that has that arduous task of putting together a slate for annual induction. We are here tonight to honor those folks for the 2011 induction. So from a very heartfelt congratulations to each one of you inductees. It is a tremendous accomplishment, being represented and recognized by former Lettermen. So without further ado, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our Hall of Fame chairman, Tommy Moody.
Good evening, and before we get into the reason we're here, the introductions of our former athletes and former outstanding head coach, I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, a couple of Hall of Famers are not here, and I'm going to introduce some Hall of Famers who are here in just a second, but King Dixon sends his regrets. He and Augusta could not come, found out something about mid-afternoon today that they would not be able to come over. And it's always great to see King Dixon no matter the occasion. So King couldn't be here. And someone told me about 30 minutes ago that Dom is sick. Dom Fusey has said he had the flu or flu-like symptoms. And you know, if Dom could be here, he would be here. I don't know that he's ever missed one since I've been involved. Of course, since last year, Bob Fulton has passed away, of course, back in, first week of November, I guess it was. But Bob, one of my prized possessions is a photo of this very event with Bob Fulton last year. Certainly was always at the Hall of Fame and a Hall of Famer in his own right, no longer with us. And I don't know if any of you saw this or heard about this in the last couple of days, but I'm going to read this press release to you because I just found out yesterday, and it happened on Monday, I do believe. Sam DeLuca. We inducted Sam into the Hall of Fame in 2005. Sam DeLuca, who played 3 seasons with the New York Jets before becoming a broadcaster for the National Football League team, has passed away. He was 75. This is dated the 14th, so that would have been Monday when we lost Sam. DeLuca, whose final season as a radio voice of the Jets was in 1986, passed away yesterday of pancreatic cancer. The New York Post reported. The team announced the death in a news release. DeLuca was a guard for the Jets from 1964 to 66, and his playing career ended with a knee injury in the team's final preseason game of 1967. He joined WABC radio booth initially as a fill-in and worked alongside Merle Harmon through the '72 season. After several years working regional telecast for NBC, DeLuca returned to the Jets radio booth in '79, the Post said. "We are deeply saddened by the loss of Sam DeLuca," Jets owner Woody Johnson said in a statement. "Though an injury ended his playing career prematurely, he remained a part of this organization, called games on radio, and providing color for television. A former team captain, he truly embodied what it meant to be a Jet." The Jets said they plan to acknowledge his passing during the September 18th game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. A native of Brooklyn, New York, DeLuca was high school friends with Baseball Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax and the New York Mets principal owner Fred Wilpon, the Post said. He was drafted by the New York Giants with the 23rd pick in 1957 out of the University of South Carolina and spent 3 seasons in the Canadian Football League before joining the San Diego Chargers in 1960. And some more information about the reporter who released this. But sad news, Sam DeLuca, when he was here for his induction in '05, just a prince of a guy. And I understand he was a tough guy. Don Barton was telling me a couple of stories about Sam and said that Rex Enright did a really good job just to keep him on campus because he was so rough. But he was certainly a gentle, sweet man 6 years ago for his induction, and certainly was a pleasure getting to know Sam DeLuca. Want to thank Tony Carl with the Gamecock Club, Jane McManus with the Association of Lettermen, Jack Wilson with the Gamecock Club. Our Hall of Fame committee, it's a committee of 9, and we meet 4 or 5 times a year and go over some of the nominees, and we study them. We have notebooks we refer to each and every meeting, and we will meet some occasions 2-3 hours. But I think the committee has done a fantastic job with the selection this year. Want to mention one other person here, well, a couple other people. I mentioned Don Barton. Don, it's always great to have you here and your lovely bride. Don Barton was the sports information director at the University of South Carolina, who brought in Tom Price, and he brought in Bob Fulton. Other than that, I can't say a whole lot about his career. But yeah, Don was a fabulous sports information director and a wonderful author. I'm sure if you listen to much sports radio around town, I have referred to his books on the Carolina-Clemson game numerous occasions, and I read it cover to cover about November of every year. Just a fabulous author as well. So I wanted to welcome Don and his lovely bride here tonight. Coach Jim Carlin could not be here. Got a message from Meredith this afternoon, and he wanted to offer special congratulations to our inductees tonight, and a couple he knew personally from way back. But they could not be here, so I appreciate Meredith letting me know this afternoon. I want to remember Coach Carlin because he recruited some of the most outstanding student athletes to ever attend this university. Great students. A lot of them have stayed around the Columbia area, state of South Carolina, in the southeast, or what have you. But so many of them are so successful, and they all owe a debt of gratitude to Coach Carlin. So I wanted to mention Coach because he could not be here tonight. And let's see if there's any other preliminary comments I wanted to make. The original Hall of Fame was elected in 1967. If I can read the fine print on our insert there, Earl Clary, the Gaffney Ghost, Sam Daniel, Freddie Tompkins, Alfred H., Fritz von Kolnitz, and Steve Wadiak, the first class. And of course, the Hall of Fame sponsored by the Association of Lettermen and the administration of the University of South Carolina. I think Steve Wadiak would be proud tonight because you all know his jersey number, 37, retired. And I just happened, I was noticing when I was preparing for this, putting the final touches on this afternoon, I have 37 index cards, 37 of them. But don't worry, the print is big and the cards are not very big. So without further ado, 214. 214 wins in his Gamecock tennis career. Think about that for just a second. Jeff Kafalis starred for Carolina in the 1970s. Oh, those 70s. Don't we remember those 70s? Team MVP in 73, 74, 75, and 76. He owns 3 of the top 5 single-season winning percentage records in school history, including the record 92.9%, 26-2 on a couple of occasions in his career. When Jeff played, the Gamecocks had recently withdrawn from the Atlantic Coast Conference, so I don't have any all-conference laurels or honors to tell you about, but the wins will do all the talking for me. Career singles record, 104-14. The only tennis player that's won over 100 singles matches. The only Gamecock that's, well, I think there are 2 Gamecocks that have won at least 80 doubles matches. Jeff, his doubles record at Carolina, 81-15. And again, that number again, once more, 214. I was just wondering, and I haven't had time to do any research on it, but could there be anybody else that's ever played anything at the University of South Carolina that's won 214 times on an individual basis like that? 214-29, 88.1% for his career. He's also served as the women's coach and also assisted Coach Kent DeMars with the men. And I think it's about time that this overdue honor was achieved. I want to bring up new Hall of Famer, Jeff Kafalis.
Good. Thank you, University of South Carolina Letterman's Association. I would like to thank some people that made this possible for me tonight. First, Coach Ron Smar is the reason I came to South Carolina in 1972. Coach had won back-to-back national championships at Wingate College, and I knew he would be successful at South Carolina. Coach Smar had many exceptional qualities, but leadership was above all. He built the foundation for success at South Carolina. Thank you, Coach Smar, for the opportunity to play college tennis for you and for South Carolina. There were 2 teammates in particular that influenced and contributed to my success at South Carolina. Andreas Hufschmid, my doubles partner my freshman and sophomore year, and Jeff Hall, my doubles partner my junior and senior year. They made me work and compete at a higher level. Thank you, Andreas, and thank you, Jeff, for being here tonight. I came to South Carolina because of Coach Smar. I had the opportunity to remain at South Carolina because of Coach Jim Carlin. In 1977, he appointed me the women's tennis coach at South Carolina and secured my position at the Columbia Tennis Center, which I've had for 34 years. Coach Carlin was committed to a nationally prominent athletic program and women's tennis team, and he supported both me and the program in every way possible. He was the motivation and inspiration that we all needed. Thank you, Coach Carlin. I wish you could be here tonight. I coached the women's team for 6 years, and I had the opportunity to coach many outstanding ladies. Thank you for your dedication and determination. Thank you, Susan Smith and Colette Bennett, for being here tonight and your contribution to the women's tennis team. Finally, I had the opportunity to continue at South Carolina because of Coach Kent DeMars. You know the success Kent has had throughout his career at South Carolina. The team success, the national rankings, the NCAA invitations, the All-Americans, the individual awards, and the coaching awards. All good reasons to be inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. But the real success of the program is how each and every former player has done so well in their professional lives. The success of each individual is a reflection of the skills that Kent stressed. Thank you, Coach DeMars, for letting me be part of this for 16 years. To all the players on the men's tennis team, thank you. I was happy to be your coach. I wanted to be your teammate. I wanted to practice with you. I wanted to play the matches with you. I hope you could see how much fun I was having and how much it meant to me. Thank you, Brett Garnett, for coming tonight. Brett was one of my first students at the Columbia Tennis Center. He was a two-time All-American and was ranked in the top 50 in the world in men's doubles. Thank you, University of South Carolina, for my education, for allowing me to play college tennis, for giving me a career teaching and coaching tennis. Thank you, former Carolina tennis player and my brother, for coming tonight from New York, Drew. Thank you, Rollins, my daughter, Lance, my son, and Betsy, my wife. Thank you all very much.
Short and sweet.
Over the years, as the Carolina women's golf program was making a name for itself, that program was recruiting and showcasing and accumulating its share of impressive, very impressive players. And one of the most honored, most decorated was Sue I. Lim. After earning second-team All-America honors in 1994 and first-team All-SEC, she was incredible in 1995, again making All-SEC, but first-team All-America, as well as the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year. In fact, in her final 3 seasons, she made first-team All-Conference all 3 of those years. Sue I was medalist at the 1995 East Regionals, then finished 5th at the NCAAs, led the Gamecocks to a 9th place finish in the nation. She was also medalist at the Carolyn Coudon, I think I'm saying that right, I may not be, intercollegiate. So she was medalist there as well. Sue I spent 1999 through 2008 on the LPGA Tour. Let's bring her up now. Hall of Famer, Sue I. Lim.
I am a tech geek. My notes are on an iPhone. First, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the nominating committee for selecting me to be a part of this very elite group. It is certainly humbling to be considered and much less selected for this Hall of Fame. A wise gentleman I know once shared a little Southern wisdom with me. He said, if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, chances are it didn't get there by himself. You are looking at a turtle on a fence post. As much success as I have had at the University of South Carolina, I would have never been able to accomplish all of it without the support team I had surrounding me. My journey to South Carolina started when the then new women's golf coach found my letter in her mailbag. Kim Erickson, now Kim Abbott, took a chance on a Malaysian kid whom she had never met, had never seen play golf, and didn't know if I could speak English. We did have communication issues, but they were mainly because of slang, American slangs that most international students didn't have a clue about. One of the funniest stories I recall from not knowing American slangs was I'm a big video gamer, and I had spent the night with a friend, and we were playing video games, and I just got beat bad. And so I came the next day to practice, and a friend said, "So what'd you do last night?" I said, "I got trashed." And they looked at me like, "You did what?" and I then explained, "Well, I played video games and I got beat really badly, and that's what the word we used in Malaysia." And they were like, "Well, don't use it here." It's got a completely different meaning, so I learned not to say that anymore. Anyway, I have since learned the language, and I've learned the slangs, and I'm a little more savvy with the words now. So thank you, Kim, who's able to join me today, and thanks for taking a chance on me. While at South Carolina, I also had the privilege of working with some of the best support staff in the country. Brainerd Cooper was the athletic trainer that was in charge with making sure that I was able to keep playing despite my uncanny knack of getting hurt. Brainerd could never understand how golfers could keep getting hurt, even though it wasn't a contact sport. Anyway, thanks Brainerd for keeping me patched up so I could actually play this game. Oh, there it goes. Not only did I have my sense of physical issues, I also had my share of mental problems. Golf would do that to you. Dr. Ron Casper proved to be an invaluable resource not only during my tenure here at South Carolina, but all the wisdom he imparted to me, I was able to carry it through my professional career. Thanks a lot to Dr. Casper for his counsel. It has been priceless. Halfway through my career at South Carolina, my team went through a coaching change. Christy Arney, now Christy Coggins, came on board as our new coach and helped me find the winning edge, as in her first year as a coach of our team, I won 2 tournaments that year. I'm sure I gave her enough heart attacks while I played, as we were talking about this earlier today. I had this tendency to dribble my drives off the tee box. And it usually happened at the most inopportune moments. And I recall this one story when I actually did that in a golf tournament, and Christy was in the golf cart with one of our new freshmen that was just watching the senior players, you know, playing, and she had this horrified look on her face when I hit that drive, and like, oh my gosh, she's gonna have a bad day, and Christy just waves at me and drives off. And she then explained to the freshman that I did that on a fairly regular basis, so she was a little used to it. Thank you, Christy, for your guidance and support. It's been great. Needless to say, my teammates have also played a large part of my success. Without them, my experience at South Carolina wouldn't have been as rich. They also made it their personal project of Americanizing me. A special shout out to my teammate and still my friend, Clarissa Childs, who is able to be here tonight. Clarissa taught me the finer art of pulling pranks in the middle of the night, and I have also learned the ability of not getting caught. One of the funniest stories we've had on that was our ability to decorate Christy's front yard with spray-on snow and a skiing gorilla. And I understand Christy's front yard was a nice winter wonderland for a whole week. Unfortunately, my parents were not able to make the 24-hour trek from Malaysia to be with us here, but I know they are with me in spirit. They played a tremendous role in making sure I went to college and got my degree. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for your constant encouragement. I would not be this far without you. Lastly, I would like to thank God, from whom all good things come from. The talents that He has blessed me with is certainly more than I could have ever asked or imagined. Thank you very much.
Before we get to our next inductee, I want to recognize some of the Hall of Famers who are here, and if I miss you, wave at me, and we'll get that corrected. Gary Greger. Kevin Long. Mike McCabe. Ed Pitts. The old running back, John Saunders. The Gamecocks' first All-American, Lou Sossaman. Emily White. Tommy Suggs. Was Tommy able to stay? Tommy, are you here? Tommy Suggs. Harold White. Congratulations to all of you, and we're so thrilled that you're here. And as we mentioned, King Dixon could not be here, and Dom is sick, so we certainly wish Dom all the best, and King at Augusta too. Did we leave anybody out? Hall of Famer who's here? May 18th, 1984. The days were getting longer. Out on the deck, chicken on the grill, and Bob Fulton and Tom Price on the radio. From Starkville, Mississippi, the task was tall. To say the least, Mississippi State on its home field in the NCAA tournament. The Mississippi State team that had Will Clark, Rafael Palmeiro, Bobby Thigpen, Jeff Brantley, Gator Thiessen. I've already named 4 future major leaguers that were on that team. In fact, just the Mississippi State and the North Carolina Tar Heels, who were the number 2 seed in that tournament, they combined to have 7 future major leaguers on their teams that year, and the Gamecocks took care of both of them in the regionals. Mississippi State came back and got us later. But June Raines, he had an ace in the hole of his own up his sleeve there. One of them was a right-hander from Charleston. He had one of the best breaking balls I've ever seen. Some good heat to go with it. That young man was Mike Cook, and he beat the Bulldogs that night 4-1 in one of the most well-pitched baseball games in South Carolina baseball history, if not the greatest of all the games that this successful baseball program has played in. An awesome performance. Mike was super in that 84 season, but in 85 he was even better. 16-2 with a 1.91 earned run average and a whopping 168 strikeouts, tying the legendary Earl Bass for the single season record, a record that still stands today, 168 strikeouts in a season. In 85, Mike was named first team All-America by both the Baseball America and the coaches. For his 3-year career, he went 30-8, struck out 313 batters. Then Mike was a first-round draft choice of the California Angels in 1985. He spent 3 seasons in the major leagues with the Angels and the Twins, and it's my pleasure right now, a great pleasure, to introduce to you Hall of Famer Mike Cook.
In 1982, Coach Johnny Hunton came down to Charleston. And at the time, I wasn't being recruited, so I was kind of shocked. You know, big school coming to Charleston. Well, I picked a good night to have a good game. So after the game, he stopped by the house and he said, you know, we'd like to offer you a scholarship. I said, Coach, that's great, but I'd like to come see the school. So the weekend I came up, it turned out to be the Clemson weekend. Oh, was I in for a shock. I've never seen a baseball game with more than 200 people. So it was something to see 6,000 people just going crazy. Third base hecklers. And to top it off, Carolina was just wearing them out. So I made up my mind. Not that, I was impressed with everything, but the fact that I wasn't going to have to face Carolina made it real easy to pick Carolina to come to. So that weekend, we're walking around the campus, and Coach Hunt is showing us around. And we get in the dorms. And on the old roost, they had these name plaques that said this room was occupied by All-American whoever. My dad looks at me afterwards and he says, son, when you leave here, I want your name on one of those doors. That's all right. So later on, we finished the recruiting trip, and he tells me, he says, look, I want you to help your team get to the World Series, and I want that All-American name plaque. Well, I accomplished 2 with the help of all my teammates, but this, he didn't see it coming. He's been passed on for years now, but I still miss him. But, my adventures here at Carolina have been great, and success is the coaches have surrounded me with great people, good fielders, good teammates. Today, they're still some of my best friends. And I know each individual in here has had that experience. I mean, I could call anybody up I want today and say, what's up? How you doing? Can you help me? And I know they wouldn't hesitate. And I think that's the biggest thing I got out of Carolina was the fans and the people that I met. I want to thank my wife who helped me celebrate this. She did a good job. I think she was more happy than I was. I don't know it was impossible. But I thank my family, my friends, my teammates, and I thank the committee for this opportunity and the award, the university for a chance for education, and the baseball team for allowing me to play, because my dream did come true. Thank you.
Jeff and Sue I, if y'all could come up. I forgot to tell you, you had to stay up here before the program. While we're tossing out dates, back on December the 28th, 1996, fresh off an 85-81 loss to Charleston Southern, it appeared that the Gamecocks basketball season was lost too, as the record stood at 5-5, and we hadn't even played an SEC game yet. Don't know what happened between the 28th and the 30th of December of 1996, but on the night of the 30th, Coach Fogler's Gamecocks beat Furman 100-62. They then won 11 SEC games in a row, including a nationally televised overtime thriller over the Kentucky Wildcats at the Carolina Coliseum. Following a 3-point loss at Georgia, Carolina reeled off another 7 straight wins, which included a win over, again, and who could ever forget it if you were around then, Kentucky in Lexington on Senior Day, the Cats' first Senior Day loss in 33 years. The season ended abruptly in the NCAA tournament, but history had been made. A Southeastern Conference championship after a gaudy 15-1 SEC record. The final overall record was 24-8 after that 5-5 start. And the straw that stirred the drink for those outstanding late 90s teams of Coach Eddie Fogler, the guy who could handle the ball, run the offense, dish off to players like B.J. Mackey, Larry Davis, Ryan Stack, etc., was Melvin Watson. Atop the Gamecock record book in assists with 543, Melvin still found time to score 1,424 points. He had 194 steals, and along with B.J., shares the record for the most career starts with 116. All-conference performer, first-team All-Southeastern Conference, and Hall of Famer Melvin Watson.
Well, it's truly an honor to be up here today. I'm not a man of a whole lot of words, but to be inducted with my fellow inductees who has been All-Americans and have gaudy numbers is truly amazing. And to be a part of a ceremony like this with the type of inductees that I'm in here with today is truly a humbling experience for me. I'm a little bit lost of words right now. I'm extremely happy that I've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of the biggest things that could ever happen to me today is happening tonight. You know, I've been asked this question a lot: what's your best memory at South Carolina? And it's not really games that we won or lost, but it's a game that, well, actually it's a game that we lost against Clemson. And I remember coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning because Coach Fogler was really upset at how we played that night. I think we scored a combined 38 points that game, Coach. The high was probably 9 points. And, you know, we did our usual stretch and, you know, got some orange juice and just kind of getting ready for practice. So I grabbed the ball off the bike rack. I went to kind of loosen up, took some shots. And I saw a coach pull up a chair at half court and had a nice hot cup of coffee, about 6:15. And coach said to me, "You're not going to need balls today." So I'm thinking, wondering what kind of practice we're going to have today. So we had this thing that he calls it 5.5s. And I think we probably ran at least an hour and a half that day of just running. And I remember guys throwing up in the trash can. I remember guys passing out on the floor because of cramps. And I remember Coach Fuller saying, "Just roll them to the side, next." But that moment, I kind of understand what he was doing. He was pushing us to excel at our best. And you know, just finding a way to win games and finding a will to want to win games and play for each other. I'm up here today because of coaching staffs that he's had with Coach Lebo, Coach Neil Doherty, who just passed, Coach Ray DeBaugh, Coach John Cooper, Coach Rick Callahan, even the staff, the supporting staff with Jeff Parson, who I think is amazing because a lot of time I've been hurt and think I couldn't make games, and within 2 or 3 days he had me patched up and ready to go. And even with Mac, I mean, the feeling that I had here at South Carolina was a family knit feeling, and that meant a lot to me because I'm really about family, and that's an important thing to me. And when I came here at South Carolina, that's what I felt. And the reason why I came to South Carolina, and Coach Fogler made it really easy for me. I went to prep school. Every team in the Big East was recruiting me at that time, and everyone talked about playing time. But the one thing Coach Fogler said to me that was more important, that was graduating from the University of South Carolina. He never promised me anything basketball-wise. He just promised that I would graduate with a degree. And I committed on the spot. He kind of looked at me like, "Are you sure you don't want to take a visit?" And I was absolutely sure. I didn't take any visit. I didn't even visit the school. I just wanted to come play for a coach who put academics first, and he cared about his players. And he was very inspiring right now, at this point in my life, to make me want to be a head coach as well. I don't think I'll be to his level, but hopefully one day I can learn as much as possible from guys I've been blessed to be around, as far as coaches. Even with the basketball program now, they make me feel right at home. And I really enjoy that with Mike Boynton, Coach Horn, Coach Barry. Those guys make me feel right at home. They never coach me. They don't know anything about me, but they just feel comfortable with me being around their program. Lastly, I would like to thank my wife, who also helped me become a better man today than I was back then. And Coach Foligno, he and I had a lot of conversation in his office. But I'm just really ecstatic and really a loss of words right now, and just feel a privilege to be up here today before these guys. I never had numbers like you see up here today, and guys who were inducted before I was, so it's truly humbling. And I just want to thank the committee and everybody who voted me to be in. A really humbling experience for me, and I just want to thank everybody. Thank you.
Just a moment. If you'll just sit right there. So make it 2 Charleston boys inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. You read some of these accomplishments and they'll blow you away. Just so impressive. And what a great lead-in that very statement is for our next inductee. An 8-time All-American from 01 to 04. Remember, track and field has an indoor and an outdoor season. This next inductee was an SEC champion 4 times. Think about that, the track and field powerhouses for years and years and years in the Southeastern Conference. Men's and women's. A 4-time conference champion, he was a member of the 4x400 national champs in 2002. That 02 team placed 6th in the NCAAs in both indoor and outdoor. Coach Curtis Fry's 03 team was 4th in the NCAA indoors. And at the 04 Olympics in Athens, Greece, this young man was a gold medalist on the 4x400 meter relay team, as well as a silver medalist in the 400 meter dash. Probably safe to say he'd be the fastest of our inductees tonight. He remains the only Gamecock athlete to earn 2 medals in 1 Olympic Games. Your newest inductee to the university's Athletic Hall of Fame is Otis Harris.
No one accomplishes anything on their own. We all stand on shoulders of great people. And I'm no different. I want to thank my mother, my father, for the work ethic that they instilled in me. I want to thank God for blessing me with life and talent and great parents. I want to thank the Association of Lettermen, the Hall of Famer committee, and of course, the coaches. Stan, Coach Sargent, Coach D, Coach Brown, and last but not least, Coach Fry. When I came on my visit, you know, I had a good time and everything, and South Carolina was the only SEC team that recruited me, and other than Ole Miss, but my father said that was a no-go, so it was never gonna happen. And I'm from a rural area in Mississippi, and when I came here, you know, it's like the big city, like, you know, college in the middle of the city, and you know, I sat across the table from Coach Fry on Sunday, or was it Saturday? Whichever day I left. And I had been offered scholarships from other schools. And he said, you know, I'm offering you a scholarship. You know, it would be good if you ran some faster times. Because if you run faster, then when you get here, then I can get you, you know, I can get you faster. I just want to see you go faster. And I said, okay, so are you offering me partial or full? And he said, I'm offering you a full scholarship because you beat people that you weren't supposed to beat. And I said, all right, that was a mental thing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to sign there and prove to him that I'm worth that scholarship, that full scholarship. We had an up and down relationship, you know, both strong personalities, and but he taught me that he was a boss, just like my father at home. No matter how strong your personality is, no matter how fast you are, no matter what you've done, I'm the boss, you know. You do what I tell you to do. And I thank you for that, you know, that discipline and standing up to all of us. We had a lot of talented people on the team, All-Americans. You know, we won championships and SECs, and it was an environment that bred success. Every day we went out there, it was somebody beside you, or you was watching the girls, and they was out there practicing hard, and it was just talent everywhere. And it just bred success and competitiveness. And when I hear those accolades, when I was here, like, I really believed that that's what we were supposed to do, to be able to be at the top of the SEC, to be able to be successful. I hated Florida, LSU. You know, those are our rivals in track and field. You know, we just really wanted to get out there and destroy those guys on their own track. I want to also, my experience here at South Carolina was great. The college was just wonderful. Fred's here, my first roommate. There's so many stories. Me and him were totally opposite. He would be asleep by 10 o'clock, and I probably wouldn't get in until I don't know when, but I know my mother don't want to hear that, but you know, we had some times, you know, I really enjoyed it. You know, it's a great city, you know, a college town. You know, I just really love this school. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come here to represent this university. You know, I had a wonderful time here. It was truly a great time in my life. I am honored and humbled by this, you know, to be able to go into the Hall of Fame. When I first got the call, you know, I kind of felt like, man, like, I was happy, but then I felt like, man, am I getting old? And I, you know, just felt, but I'm really honored to be here with these great athletes, great athletes, and you know, this is something that one day when I have kids, they're able to look at it and say, you know, the father accomplished something, you know, accomplished something. So, I want to thank my trainer here, Joe. He He's not here, but he worked on me hard, you know, when I had injuries. I want to thank Aaron, our massage therapist. Rest in peace, man. You know, he's not here anymore. I want to thank my best friend, Jonathan Fornberry. We competed against each other every single day at practice. I mean, we were best friends off the track, but once we got on the track at practice, we tried to rip each other's head off every day. You know, we would compete, it just came out every day. Coach didn't have to, you know, say, hey, you know, you guys get out there and compete. It just came naturally, and he truly made me better. He suffered an Achilles injury while he was here and was out for a whole year, but he was so talented. He anchored that 4x14 and was able to win nationals. And I know if he would have been able to stay healthy, that he would have been able to, you know, to have this type of honor also. So, you know, it's just a blessing from God that I was able to stay healthy, and seeing him, man, just a great athlete, go down like that, you know, in the hospital bed, you know, and everything. And man, I'm getting emotional. You know, again, I'm honored and humbled. And, you know, I just thank God for all of his blessings upon my life. And, you know, I just thank you.
I want to ask Coach Curtis Fry to stand. And also Coach Eddie Fogler. Is Coach still here? I didn't know he was here earlier. Okay, he'll be back to a seat in just a moment. But I scanned the room earlier and didn't know Eddie was here until Melvin referred to him. But two wonderful, wonderful coaches here at the University of South Carolina. Our next inductee from Cross Hill, South Carolina. 1979 and 1981 to 83 is when he played at the University of South Carolina. But in high school, an All-American, two-time All-State at Clinton High School in Clinton, South Carolina, where he led his team to back-to-back state championships. Also the home of one Ed Pitts from Clinton, another Hall of Famer. Captain of the 1978 Shrine Bowl team, Class 3A Lineman of the Year, 2 consecutive years, 77, 78. Conference Player of the Year in 78, also MVP of his basketball team. A 4-year letterman at Carolina, he won the starting position in 1980, but he was injured on the first play of his first game. Missed the season with an elbow injury and received a hardship redshirt that year. Then he started the next 3 seasons, making over 120 tackles each year, 121, 131, and 143. He also led the team in interceptions in 1982, and he was the state newspaper Defensive Player of the Week that year for his game against the Clemson Tigers. He was named recently to Cocky Talk, all-time Gamecock football team. He also was named one of the best Gamecock football players by the state newspapers, panel of ex-Gamecock players. Finished as, and still remains, USC's all-time leader in tackles with 405. Drafted by the Washington Federal of the USFL in '83, and JD graduated from Carolina in '84. He now works as Director of Operations with Second Harvest Food Bank of Metrolina in Charlotte, where he was previously Director of Development and Strategic Planning. I want you to welcome our newest Hall of Fame inductee, 405 tackles, J.D. Fuller.
Thank you. Pardon my voice. I've lost my voice here and I can't seem to get it back. First of all, I'd like to thank the USC Letterman's Association for selecting me to be a part of the Athletic Hall of Fame. And thank you to my fellow Letterman, Johnny Gregory, and my good friend, Columbus Copeland, for nominating me for this very special award. I'd like to say congratulations to my fellow classmates who are being inducted tonight, and know that it is an absolute honor for me to be a member of the class of 2011 and to be connected with a group of people who have accomplished so much. As a student athlete at USC, I was allowed so many opportunities. Having the opportunity to play with and against the best players in the country was the major reason I chose the University of South Carolina. When I look back at what was an experience of a lifetime, I remember we beat Georgia and Clemson my freshman year, and we beat Southern Cal my senior year, which was the first time USC East had defeated USC West. I also had the opportunity to have so many great teammates at USC, and I feel that all of my teammates share this award with me. I'd like to thank all of my coaches, from Coach John McMorris, who was my very first coach in Little League Baseball at Midway Community Center in Cross Hill, to Coach Dale Evans and Jim Collins, who recruited and signed me here at USC. They all taught me and gave me so much that not only helped me on the football field, but also in many other areas of my life. The lessons I learned from these coaches gave me the drive to earn my degree while competing on the field, and to accept and embrace leadership roles throughout my career after football. I owe a lot to the game of football, for in so many ways, it has prepared me for the game of life. You see, in football, circumstance, as in life, circumstances can change from first down and goal to fourth down and long yardage in a matter of minutes. At the end of the day, if we have prepared a game plan to deal with these situations, we will succeed most of the time. But as one of my coaches used to say, if you fail to prepare, you can prepare to fail. I'd like to say a special thanks to Coach Joe Wham and Coach Bobby Brock back in Clinton for always being available to give me a ride home from practice, which was 13 miles away from the school. Like my mother, these coaches recognized my love for sports and literally went the extra mile during the 1970 gas crisis so I would have a chance to play and the opportunity to learn all the valuable lessons that sports and being a part of a team have taught me. A big thank you to my mother, who's here tonight, and my father, who's with us in spirit. Thank you. They have set an awesome example with their hard work and dedication, and making it easy for me to pass on those values to my daughter, Tiara, who's also here tonight. My mother may have been my first coach, and she was a pretty strict one at that. When I was about 8 years old, I told my mother that I was going to start training for football by running several miles. And my mother said, "You can train all you want to, but you better not leave this yard." So I must have ran around the house about 100 times that day. I felt like the boy who had ran around the block over 100 times when an old man walked up to him and asked him, he said, "Hey boy, what's the matter with you? Why do you keep running around the block?" And the boy replied, "I'm running away from home." And the man said, "Why don't you cross the street?" And the boy said, "My mama won't let me." I'd like to thank my brother David, my sister Dorothy, my friend Teresa, my CPA and friend for over 25 years, Ted Conrad, and his wife Patty, for driving down from the upstate tonight to be a part of this very special event. Let me close by saying it is really great to be a Gamecock and to have my name mentioned with previous Hall of Fame inductees who also attended my high school, like Ed Pitts and Kevin Long, who are here. And they're like big brothers to me. In fact, Kevin told me that Ed had called everybody and their brother back home and told them about tonight. I will cherish the time I spent at USC as an athlete and a student for the rest of my life. Thank you again for this great honor, and thank you so much for allowing me and my family to be a part of Gamecock Nation. Thank you.
Counting Ed and Kevin and JD, that's 3 from the Clinton area in the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, University Hall of Fame. These 7 inductees tonight will bring the total to 131 on that honor list. And number 131, before we talk about all of the honors accumulated in the just legendary career of Kent DeMars, something else kind of jumped off the page at me when I was reading about Kent's career. In his years in the SEC, and the Gamecocks have been in the league, as you know, since 1992. Kent retired in 2010, but in those years in the SEC, 80 of his players have been named to the SEC Academic Honor Roll. And you know, tennis, they don't have a whole lot of players. 80 in his career. I think that is just absolutely wonderful, Coach. Now, on the court, after winning 7 consecutive Division II national championships at SIU Edwardsville, Kent began coaching the Carolina men's team in 1984, his first year of competition being 1985, and his teams won the Metro Conference title 6 times in a row. And then the Gamecocks joined the Southeastern Conference. 18 times in his 26-year career with the Gamecocks, his teams made the NCAA tournament, including 13 in a row from 1994 to 2006. He is the winningest coach in the history of the program, 390 coaching victories at Carolina, the National Coach of the Year in 1989, a 7-time Regional Coach of the Year. I mentioned all those Metro Conference championships, a 1996 inductee into the South Carolina Tennis Hall of Fame, a 2010 inductee into the ITA Men's Tennis Collegiate Hall of Fame. Overall, as a college coach, 604 wins, 390 of which right here at the University of South Carolina. Hall of Famer, Kent DeMars.
I don't know that I'll need these, but some people my age have what's called senior moments. So, well, I really also would like to thank the Letterman's Club for being inducted. It certainly is very humbling when you get an award like this, and I certainly appreciate that very much. I have a few people to thank here, and would like to start with Dawn, who puts up with me presently, and she was quite a supporter the last few years of my career, and I really appreciate that. I have my 2 daughters here, Colleen and Kristen. They claim that they quit tennis because I was too hard on them. But I really appreciate their support through all the years of being gone to some country and not having a chance to spend as much time as I would have liked. My friends, several are here. A lot of the players are here. I certainly want to thank them for coming. I really appreciate that. I know that Jeff and I really are glad that you could come and make it. Obviously, Jeff, who you heard all of his accolades, and he also put up with me for 16 years, and it was nice to have another coach who I considered another head coach, because he was. He had several top 10 finishes with the women, and was not only good tactically, and I think the players respected Jeff a lot and was a good friend to all of them, and we really had to go at it for 16 years. Thanks, Jeff. I have my next door neighbor, who I'd like to consider the #1 Gamecock fan, but R.J. Moore told me that best he could be would be #2. But Eddie Binion is a good friend of tennis, and more importantly, a good friend of the athletic department, and certainly appreciate him being here. I thought I might just tell you the story of really how I got here in the first place. I don't know if you believe in fate. I don't know that I do either, but you could certainly make a case for it. Back in 1984, I was at SIU Edwardsville, as was mentioned, and I was there for 11 years. And I had 2 players from the Division II make it up to the Division I tournament in Athens, Georgia. And I was staying at the Ramada Inn there. It's not even the Ramada Inn anymore, but it was at the time. And I remember coming downstairs, and I was looking for the morning paper, and I went outside and I was putting coins in the paper dispenser, and a guy from behind me came up and said, well, are you part of the tennis tournament? And so I turned around and said, yes, I am. And he said, well, my name's Bobby Foster, who many of you know. And he said he had a position open at the University of South Carolina, and he was the golf coach here, and wanted to know if I knew of any people interested in the position. And I said, well, it just so happens that I've got an airplane ticket upstairs. I wanted to move from the Division II to Division I to Florida, and I was going to visit there in a week. And he said, well, let me get back to you. And so the next day I get a call in my room, and he said, well, how about coming to the university right after the tournament's over? And so I agreed to do that. And I remember at the end of the day, the AD at the time was Bob Markham, and he said, well, Coach, he said, we appreciate you coming. We'd like to offer you the position, but I will tell you, if you take the trip to Florida, it's going to be offered to somebody else. And so I learned from that a pretty good recruiting trip, actually. So anyway, obviously for 26 years, I was the tennis coach here. Before I get to the players, I also wanted to mention, I think a lot of you knew Susan, who passed away maybe several years ago, and I did want to mentioned, and she was certainly my backbone for most of my career, and I really appreciated the time that we had together. The players, I think you know as a coach, you're really only as good as your players, and I've got a couple here tonight that I just wanted to tell you a quick story on each before I finish, because I think sometimes coaches sell their players short, and I know that I've kind of done that in the past, and sometimes they can turn you around. A gentleman right here, Jaime Cuellar, sitting here, I remember he came in and he was a top 50 junior player in the world. He's number 3 in doubles, and he came here as a freshman, and we had just started our season, and it was our first match in the SEC, and it was against LSU, who was a top 10 team. And Jaime was playing number 4 singles of the 6 singles positions. And I remember the match came down, and we were tied 3-3. It was a great match. And Jaime had just split sets, and there was one more set left to play. And I was really concerned because on the other side of the court was a senior, a player we had never beaten before in the 4 years he was there. And he was a captain of the team, and I had a freshman. And so I'm thinking, like, my chances aren't really good. So I was thinking, well, I need to think of something to tell him. You know, I just can't let him do this alone. So I was thinking, like, maybe take deep breaths, or you know, go for your shots, or something really, you know, with a lot of wisdom in it. And so I walked over to him, and I didn't even get to him, and he turns and he puts his arm around me. You know, I'm supposed to be doing that to him. And he says, "Coach, this is so much fun." He says, everybody in the stands, or we had these metal stands, are pounding their feet on the stands, and this is just like Davis Cup back home. He said, "I just can't wait to go out there and kick this guy's ass." You know, and so I did the very smartest thing that you should do as a coach. I just nodded my head and walked away. You know, there wasn't much I could say. And Jaime went on in about 15 minutes and beat the guy 6-0, and we won the match. And kind of taught me a lesson to, you know, never sell your players short. I have another one here who I wanted to tell a story, and it's Seth Rose. It's really neat to see somebody's career and where it's at. And he's a young man now. From the time he came into the university, to be honest with you, he got to South Carolina because his coach, I coached, and he called me one day and said, "You know, I'd like for you to recruit Seth." And I said, "Well, what's he ranked?" And he goes, "Well, his ranking isn't real high." And I said, "Well, you know, we're in the SEC, and you know, he's really got to be a good player, or you know, he won't have a chance." He goes, "Well, he's got a lot of potential." And you know, as coaches, how many times we've heard of potential. So anyway, I said, okay, because he was a good friend. And so Seth came, and we gave him a piece of a scholarship, and I think there were maybe 10 or 11 players on the team, and Seth will probably be mad when I tell you that he was 10 or 11 on the team. And so anyway, he's out there the whole fall working out, and then we start our spring season. And we hadn't started a match yet, and I still remember Seth coming up to me almost on a daily basis saying, "You know, Coach, if you put me in the lineup, I can do it." Well, there was no chance for him to get in the lineup. So all of a sudden, the typical February comes around and the flu hit, and I had an injury, and sure enough, we went from 10 to 6, and Seth was in. And so, you know, I'm kind of shaking my head like, you know, not too much chance here. But the whole time, he kept telling me, I'm going to win. And so, sure enough, he wins the match, and we still have people out. He wins the next match, and then he wins 5 matches in a row. And now my players are back. You know, they're not sick anymore, they're not injured anymore, and I have to figure out what to do. Well, being very bright, I put in the guy who's 5-0. And he just kept winning, and he moved from 6 to 5 to 4. By his junior year, he had moved all the way up to play some 1. He finished playing number 1. His senior year, I never had anybody go from 10 to 1. But he always thought he could do it. In fact, he told me on a daily basis he could do it. And so he really wanted to be an All-American, and to do that, you had to be in the top 20 in the country. He accomplished that his senior year, which I would have never guessed. And he graduated. He went on to law school and got his law degree. He's here locally. Last year he ran for office. And you need to help me, you know, the Richland County Consul. And I'm sure he would be happy if you all knew that and voted for him in the up. So there, but it really does go to show you, you know, if you believe in your players, that it really makes a difference. I would like, in finishing up, to thank Eric Hyman for putting together a beautiful tennis facility that's going to be ready in a couple of weeks. And there were a lot of facilities that needed to be done, and he put the tennis facility right there on top. And I'm very anxious to go out there and support the Gamecocks. And I welcome all of you to come by and take a look. It's really a spectacular facility. So thank you very much.
One more time, Jeff Kafalis, Sue-I Lim, Mike Cook, Melvin Watson, Otis Harris, J.D. Fuller, and Kent DeMars, your 2011 Athletic Hall of Fame class. Wow, that's some group. It really, really is. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight and wish you safe travel on the way home. And understand, with a little change in the weather, somebody told me this morning it was going to be 69 for a high tomorrow. I don't know if that's possible. It was 90-something today. But we'll see, and hopefully the rain will hold off for this weekend. Again, thanks for being here. Congratulations, and beat Navy. Thank you. Hey, thank you, man.